Hey everybody, we're here. We're here for episode 6 of Around the Basket. I'm Daryl, and I'm joined as always by my lovely co-host Jeremy.
Hey Daryl, I'm so excited to be here. I'm in a swivel chair and I tried to swivel around for around the basket, but sometimes I freeze
Can
up on this one, so I don't think you could see it.
Yeah, you froze up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut away. You can leave and join, and I'll just talk on my own. So don't be too long.
Beauty.
You can
Alrighty.
rejoin. So as I say, we're here for episode 6. Last episode, if you didn't catch it, we spoke to Matt Dwyer, Edgar VP. We had a great conversation talking to him about the differences between US and Canada disc golf. We talked about US DGC doubles, and if you ever get a chance to enter a competition like that, if it's a qualifying competition, definitely take part in it because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. You're back.
I am back and better than ever because now you can see me moving and shaking.
There you go. Awesome. Who have we got on this episode, Jeremy? I just explained. Oh, you froze up again. This is not going to be good if you're going to keep freezing up, Jeremy. On
No,
this
it
episode, well, we can leave it for a second or two. As long as you're getting lucky, because every time it freezes up, it's in a fairly good position for you. You haven't got your eyes closed and your tongue sticking out or anything like that. So I don't know why you're now freezing up, because we just did a whole episode of chain out and you didn't freeze up once.
No, that's right. I don't know what that would be then.
Yeah.
But you can hear me fine, can you not?
We can hear you fine. It'll be good for the. Well, actually, you know what? I just saw we don't actually put these out for audio only. So,
well, in any event, let's keep rolling along here. And you know what? Once we get to our guest, we can always cut me out and cut me in. But if I got to be standing frozen with a smile like that, I'm happy. I'm a happy guy. It's just when I have an angry hot take, we're going to probably have to figure something out for that.
You never have an angry hot take. I just want to jump into the chat here real quickly because these are the people that matter. Sam's in the chat. Dillon is obviously in the chat, but we'll get to him a little bit later. Brock is also in the chat as well. And I'm sure probably Dina is in the chat, but I don't see her commenting at the moment. He left the Discdle today just so he can do it with us later on. That's awesome.
Beauty.
Yeah. I think it's just mainly people talking amongst themselves. Sam's talking to Brock about Edgar.
Nice.
I don't know. Maybe he might have left for the day. Yeah, we're all good. We're back.
Yeah. Did you mention too that who we had on last week when I was off there?
I did.
So we talked about that. We talked about how many Patreon members we're up to now.
We didn't get that far, but we
we
should announce that, seeing as we do have a very special guest that is part of that.
Yeah, so we're up to 11 members now with 2 top band members, which is fantastic. We love it. Doesn't matter how you support us. Just being part of the Patreon makes you kind of part of this exclusive club, and you get a chance to participate and get this kind of more free flow type episode. So we appreciate any way you can support us there. And then as you were saying there with the comments, we encourage everybody to be interactive, ask questions, add comments. Daryl's going to fire them up and try and bring them into the conversation as we can squeeze them in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what this episode, Around the Basket is all about. It's not just us talking and you listening. We definitely want it to be interactive. So if you're in the chat, you got questions, put them up. We'll answer them and we'll get them involved as much as we can.
That's right. So why don't we get to the guest, like you said? This week's guest has been a major supporter of Chain Out from day one, Daryl.
Yeah.
We call Alex Penny the nicest guy in disc golf. But if he was to ever have a challenger, it would be today's guest. That's for sure. And I think the two of them actually are pretty close. They know each other. They hang out a bit. So
yeah, absolutely.
And on top of that, he'd be too modest to admit that he falls into that category. That's just how cool this guest is. So he's an MPO player from right here in Edmonton. We're going to welcome Dillon Frolek to the show.
Hey, Dillon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. Thank you for the intro, Jeremy. That was awfully sweet of you.
Well, we know how modest you are, but definitely if we're saying, Alex Penny's the nicest guy in disc golf in Calgary, Dillon Frolek fighting for that one right here in Edmonton. And you guys you've had a chance to play together a few times, have you? You've met over
Absolutely.
social media or?
Yeah, we met over Facebook. I mean, just in the heart of COVID. He's like you said, he's the nicest person in disc golf for a reason. It all started with a free putter he sent me out of the blue in the mail, and
Nice.
one of the putters I still go with. It's one of my go-to practice putters. Makes it out in glow nights, and just kind of that whole receiving something for free or from someone you've never met, you just kind of met on the internet, but you vibed with, and had kind of grabbed a hint from me that it was my go-to putter, and was one that was very tough to look for and find at the time. And all of a sudden, it showed up at my door, and it was
awesome.
There's been a few more since then. So yeah, it's like you said, he's the nicest guy in disc golf for a reason.
Yeah. Well, we had a chance to talk to him down in Calgary when we went down to Cold Garden. You were in the chat, and obviously we mentioned that he had sent you a couple discs, and he was quick to say that that's not just a one-way street, that you've sent him a couple discs as well. So that's why you're close behind in second place.
You try, but there's always that little bit of debt that you're just trying to keep up with, and he just keeps one upping you. But that's part of the game, and it's fun with the whole give it forward, pay it forward part of it, because it echoes throughout the sport, and it just keeps people like that doing it to keep it growing.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I think
go ahead, Daryl.
I was just going to say, I think that's a great segue into our first topic, Jeremy. The fact that, if you have an extra disc, you send it on to somebody else, and then you might get some more in return. And when we go to tournaments, we end up with some discs, well, maybe not if you're in the MPO division, but as amateurs, we get, normally we get discs in our players packs. So one thing that we wanted to put out there, and we want to hear everybody's opinion in the chat, how many discs is too many discs?
Well, you have to clarify, like, is it number of discs owned or number of discs I'm carrying on my shoulder bag or in a cart?
We got to go both ways, I think.
Yeah, we can do both. Yeah, I think the question was more designed for when you're out on a course.
Mm-hmm.
But, looking behind you, I see that those are not plates that you have behind you there on those shelves.
There is a couple racks, but that's part of my habits. Is I like to collect things, and disc golf, when you discover it in the heart of COVID, and I'm a big Pokemon player, so that feeds right into it, and one thing leads to another, and you find a brand you like, you find a mold you like, you find a plastic you like, and Facebook made disc buying very easy.
Yeah.
And it's led to a bit of a collection. And I guess to answer the question, it's I don't think there's a number of discs that you can own. It's just a matter of what you do with them. I like to have a significant amount that will get tested, will get thrown, but behind that curtain there are a few racks of discs kept in some plastic bags that hopefully one day might be something that are sought after. But when it comes to playing, I am known to probably carry a bit more discs than you need to carry for a round of golf, but I like to keep it in a very set number. So the bag has a very routine to it, where the bottom of it, there's 18, there's 4 putters, there's a couple of Firebirds, there's a Berg, and then there's a utility disc in the back.
Yeah.
And you just fill the slots with what it is. So I think there's different ways to approach it, but
yeah, and that's the thing. I think that, with Jeremy and I, we have the new Zuka carts, and we carry more discs now than we had when we just used to carry a shoulder bag. But if you were to actually break it down, Jeremy, how many of those discs are you actually throwing on a round?
Well, I'll tell you, when I went to put up discs behind me tonight for the episode, I was taking them off my top rack, and I'm like, well, there's a Sergeant that I have in there for, I don't know why, for one shot, maybe something like that. So there definitely are. I think part of having the Zuka card is that you got to pack enough in there so they don't fall out. So it's almost like unless you're going to stuff it with some cardboard or something to block it a bit, you've got to fill it up. It's the only way that you can tote one of those around. So that's why mine is full, maybe, as opposed to how many discs I truly need.
There's two. There's two reasons why I have a cart. One, and I always said that the only reason I was ever going to get a cart was to have somewhere to sit because I'm getting old, and when you have to wait on holes, I need somewhere to sit down sometime. So that's one reason. And the other reason was we were approached by Brendan at BR Disc Golf. He had mentioned that he could have got he needed to get a certain amount of shipment, or a certain amount of orders in the shipment to make it justifiable. And whether we wanted to be in that, we mentioned that we might want to get carts. And obviously, just to support somebody local, we decided to end up getting carts. But if it wasn't for the fact that I was old, and if it wasn't for the fact that I needed to support, I didn't get a cart because I wanted a cart. That really wasn't any part of it. It was just the fact that I need somewhere to sit down. So I could have brought a stool, but
I've done the stool thing.
A fantastic option. I actually acquired a cart this summer too, right in the middle of it, right around July. Mostly influenced from Brock, playing doubles with him every week. It was a clear advantage, like you said, Daryl, having the seat, having the ability to bring basically any and every disc you need, and at the end of the day, the carrying like a disc golf bag with 2 full water bottles in it and 25 or so discs, it gets a little heavy after 18 holes of sometimes some pretty slow golf, and if you're lugging it up and down the whole time, it can definitely impact your shoulder. And I'm very particular to never lift the bag with the right shoulder. For some reason, that was a habit I picked up right at the beginning, is don't throw off that shoulder any more than you need to.
Yeah.
But having the cart and being able to bring some discs that, maybe I'm going to try that one today, that normally you don't have that spot for in the bag, it makes it pretty fun.
Yeah.
Is that just feeding the argument when, well, I guess not feeding the argument, but you're kind of supporting it when you say that having a bag with 2 water bottles and the amount of discs that you have in there is quite heavy, which then leads to think, well, why do you need that many discs then? Why not just come out with if you've ever played around Spruce Grove and Edmonton area, you've probably seen Briggsy, who just comes out with just the shoulder or the hip bag, probably has 3 or 4 discs in it. I think we seen him at Tundra Toss, Jeremy, and he said he had 5 discs and he only threw 2 or 3 of them the whole round.
Yes.
Do we need these discs? Is it the fact, are we as amateurs, and I'm not including you in this, Dillon?
No, I'm very well can be.
Are we leaning too heavily on, okay, I need an understable disc, so I need to have this one, but that's a mid-range, so I need a fairway understable. There's a great, quite a few videos that I've seen of how to build a bag. Get a putter, mid-range, fairway, and distance driver in understable, stable, and overstable. That's your base 12, and you build from there. Do we really even need 12? I know Sam is in the chat, and we spoke to Kevin from Cardinal Disc Golf earlier on, who said that some of his best rounds are when he goes up and plays with his putters only. Sam loves playing putters only. When we played the AHE tournament in Edmonton here in support of Alberta Hospital, we played. Oh, sorry, not that one, but we also played the Alberta tournament, where it was Berg only, and I think me and Jeremy played one of our best rounds just by using that one disc, and it's not even a very useful utility disc. It's a 1-speed, with 0 glide or whatever it is. I forget now. I should know. A one glide, but we played some of our best round with those with that one disc. So why do we need more than that?
Those are very fair points, Daryl. And I think the other thing we can take from it is if you think about what Kevin had said, he came from an ultimate background, which it seems like that's the one thing that we're missing in our key link to being better disc golfers is we should have played ultimate for about 10 years. But
yeah,
aside from that, he talked about the fact that he threw a beast. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It wasn't like I threw a Hex or a Pathfinder or something at the start and threw that forever. No, he threw a 10-speed disc from the start. And that was the only thing he threw, but he could make it do whatever he wanted. So that was where I kind of wanted to go with this, is that if you took 3 discs, if you took a putter, if you took a mid and then either a fairway or leaning towards a driver, and that's all you had, and you worked those discs and you made them do what you needed them to do, would we get better faster as amateurs doing that than having a disc bag full of 30 discs where we're like, oh, I'll pull this one out and see what happens with this one this time? And I'm thinking there's something to be said about that. Just using the example you said with the Berg, we played really well with the Berg. If I went and took my Desert Island discs from the time, which was my Phi EV7 putter, my Hex, and my musket, and I threw those 3 only, I probably might play better than I do right now if I went out to Hermitage or Rundle, is what I'm thinking.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at a round of disc golf, you have, like, give or take, you could say 18 times 2 or 18 times 3. Well, what's the par there? Oh, I should have done the math. But take Rundle for an example, at par 56. And it's like, you take half the shots with your putter out and take two putts a hole. That leaves a good chunk of hole shots that you're going to need to fill with other discs to get to the part where you're going to putt.
Right.
And to be honest, I think part of the fun of the game is getting a brand new disc in the mail. You have no clue how it's going to fly. You have no clue how it's going to feel. And you take it out and it just flies like a dream. And you may not be able to recreate that dream again, but that very first flight you took with it sticks with you, and you continue to try and get to that same point where it flew just perfectly. And you're like, well, maybe it is a disc. And then you try another one, and it's just a continual cycle of bringing new discs in. But I think to answer your point, if you were strictly trying to get better and to kind of master your craft, having that go-to disc in each of those kind of 5 slots that you know exactly how it's going to fly on exactly what kind of angle, you're going to score better, and you're going to become a lot more consistent with the results and with where your discs go. But are you going to have as much fun trying new plastic? Yeah, I think that's half the fun, and that's why I like winter golf so much. Is it's a completely new bag of discs that I play with. It's there's maybe 1 or 2 discs that carry over from the summer bag to the winter bag, and that's just kind of something I'll try and do to try out different plastics, try out different weights, different molds, and you have to throw a little different in the wind. So sometimes your discs have to be a little different than what you normally would play with, and your expectations have to be a little less pristine than you normally do in the summer.
Yeah, it's funny I hear you say that, and I agree with you, and I agreed with Kevin when he said it as well. Is when you take that one disc and you can throw it on Annie, it'll stay on Annie. You throw it on Heiser, it'll stay on Heiser. You know, you have that one disc that you can manipulate to do what you want to do. Because when I first started, when you obviously when you first start, you get your first few limited amount of discs that you have. You're trying to throw these shots with discs. You know, you're trying to get a Firebird to turn right, and it's like, this is so overstable, it's going to go left, right? So then you get into the mindset of, okay, let the disc do the work. If you throw everything flat, a Firebird's going to go to the right. A turn is going to go to the left. A turn's going to go to the right, or whatever the disc might be if you're choosing. So then you're kind of in the mindset of, let the disc do the work. So then you go to that mindset of, well, then I need a mid-range understable, mid-range overstable, So then you end up, that's when you start buying discs. But then you come to this point where we're like, you don't need all those discs. If you can just get 2 or 3 discs and manipulate them to do what you want to do, that's all you really need. So now you're going back to square one. I don't think we're going to come up with an answer at this, Jeremy.
I don't think there's a right or a wrong with regards to it. It's it just kind of depends on how much or what your main objective is when you go out to play every day. I think there's too much fun in trying the infinite different combinations of discs out there that it's there's always something new in the bag. And like most of the shots I'll still fall back to the good old trusty, because like, okay, I know it's going to go a little bit right, I know it's going to fight back. But when you're having those casual rounds and you can take a couple extra shots on each hole, then that's when you get to really experiment. And that's sometimes where you have the funnest part of disc golf is those shots that you really have no expectations on, and then it just catches you off guard with how good they turn out.
Yeah, that's a good point for sure. Hey, Daryl, while we're at this, and I know in a normal interview we go through all the different things, we do our origin stories and all of that, but because we've got Dillon here and we're talking discs, we don't have to go through with the whole intro and stuff, but I want to know what Dillon's Desert Island discs would be. What would he throw if he had 3? So now if we were going to narrow you down to 3 discs,
great
what would
question.
Now, if he wants the story, well, let's ask him first. Do you want us to play?
Do you want the intro?
You don't need it? Because
No.
we would hate to deprive you of it if
It's
you
okay.
wanted it.
No, that's okay. We got it. We had one earlier today already, so that's more than suffice.
You can come back for the chain
Um,
out episode when you start.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
when I have some credentials to defend this,
Yeah.
to
There
put
you go.
behind my name or something, right? It's I think you're gonna have to go with the P2, the Sexton Firebird, and then that's that. The third part is a little tough. I'd probably go with an FD. The 3 discs that I have the most of wouldn't make sense not to bring one of each, and
Right.
I'd probably be able to have enough fun with those. And course wise, I mean, it would
Oh
have to
yeah.
be. That's a fun part. I like how you guys have added that. It's cool just to kind of see what each person's favorite course would be that they would play over and over and over again,
Yeah.
and maybe where they played. So I'd have to bring out one of the courses that we played last year in South Carolina. Any of them would work, but Angry Beaver is the one that comes to top of mind that I could play over and over again. And I still would never probably learn to play it, but it would kick my butt every time I played it, and it'd be too much fun.
There
Yeah,
you go.
well,
You'd want
with the
something to be
name-
a bit of a challenge.
Well, with the name like the Angry Beaver too, it's got a good Canadian name there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not where my mind was going, Jeremy. I just want to go to the chat. We talked about, because we had a lot of comments here going back a little bit, talking about how many discs is too many. Sam definitely used the Trash Panda exchange to free up some disc golf space, some shelf space. Very topical right now, seeing as Canadian postal workers are back to work, so now we can start getting our discs out. Brock said he thinks he's at about 180 discs on the shelf, and he carries about 25 or so in his cart with him. Sam is, if you know Sam, he knows all the flight numbers and plastics and everything, so he has a spreadsheet, and he says his spreadsheet says about 254 plus a couple in the mail as well. Hopefully they get to you sooner than later, Sam.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty impressive.
And then pretty much what you were saying there about if we don't buy discs, how do we keep
Exactly,
these businesses
Brock.
alive from Brock there? So
Yeah, that's fair enough.
one
Well,
thing.
okay,
you go ahead.
Yeah, I got another question for you. And I know we're in the winter season now, but Dillon, you're playing Winter League. Daryl and I are getting out when we can as well. And I see that Brock's got there when he wins Tundra Toss. Here's a question for you for Tundra Toss. And I don't want to put any pressure on, but do you think that's a tournament where we could do this, where we could do one round, morning round, throw your whole bag, afternoon round, throw your Desert Island discs?
Throw your 3 discs. Yeah.
Throw your 3 discs and see. I would be up for it, Daryl. I might change my 3 discs, but if I said it was 3 discs, I could do it. What do you guys think?
You've mentioned this format before.
I think we could even do it as a separate tournament to Tundra Toss too.
Yes, of course. But maybe it's like a precursor to it, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jeremy's mentioned it before. We've talked about possibly whenever Chain Out decides to run a tournament, that have it as a sanctioned event in the morning, and then round 2 in the afternoon, make it a Desert Island disc tournament. You get 3 discs and take it out. I'm not too sold on that idea, but I like the format. I like the idea of having 2 rounds in a day, and switching it out in the afternoon. Not too sure I want to do it at Tundra Toss though, but I wanted to go back to we're talking about how many discs you carry and which disc, and you mentioned before there that you've got several molds of the same, several discs of the same mold. Where do you stand on one manufacturer? Do you think it's a good idea, or do you think it's because I think
again there's so many discs out there that unless you're getting paid to play with a single manufacturer, you're only doing yourself harm by sticking with one for top to bottom lineup. If you're to slip in a Berg or so and play only Innova and putt with pixels or stuff like that, then obviously you're not using a single manufacturer. But I think you're only doing yourself harm unless the manufacturer is paying you to represent their plastic, because there's so many good options out there. There's every manufacturer has a mold that no other manufacturers kind of have, and sometimes you're just stuck playing with a manufacturer's single disc and none of the other discs work for you from them. But to be able to have that one option in your bag to restrict yourself to one brand, I think is doing yourself harm. But I mean, there's tons of manufacturers out there that you can do it, and there's been a lot of cool YouTube videos, especially this off season, of people taking their bag, playing an old, say, used to only rep old Innova discs, and then trying to play a month of just MVP discs. It was fun to see just the experience that they would have, because it would be quite an undertaking for me to completely switch to one brand of discs, just because like I probably couldn't carry the bag without a Berg. It's you may not use it often, but there's 1 or 2 shots in an 18-hole round where you're like, thank you, that you have that weird little panning flight that just no other disc kind of does. So it would be fun to be able to do it, but I think unless you are being promoted to do so, you're only doing yourself a little bit of harm.
Well, I think
I'm feeling targeted, Jeremy.
Well, I was going to say, I think there's
I have a very good friend who I play a ton of disc golf with. His name's Tyler, and he only plays with Castoplas discs. And I have to be honest, he does beat me quite often, so I can't harp on him too hard. But there are some of those times where I've slipped a Firebird into his bag, and especially in the glow rounds, he had to test a few different plastics, and they stuck around. So it's you kind of plant the seed, and it's like, okay, I see why you carry 3 Firebirds, and it's things like that make it fun.
Yeah. Well, I would say, Daryl, to put it in another way is, okay, if you are getting sponsored and getting paid or getting free product or however it is to throw one manufacturer, that's one reason. The other reason is because if you are like you and me at sometimes, and you lack some self-control and some discipline on your purchases and at certain times of the evening and different things like that, then by only being with one manufacturer, at some point you're going to be like, do I need another Roadrunner or whatever the case is, once you've kind of filled out that block. Whereas if you leave yourself open to every disc available on the market, you could be going to town for quite a long time, because I'm sure Sam at 254, he's just scratching the surface of getting a start of the full collection of discs that are out there.
It adds up really quick, and like I try and stick with a set few manufacturers, I guess you could say. Like majority of my bag, if I look at it, you're going to see Innova, Discmania, and maybe a Discraft 1 or 2 in there, and then you slip in a couple oddities with some MVP discs and things like that. But I do stick within a good 4 or 5 brands, but they still make quite a bit of discs, and the shelves get full. Like the tallest shelf is all Discraft, the middle shelf is all Innova, the right shelf is all oddities, and then the ones on my shoulder, there's 2 shelves over there that are all Discmania. So they're organized. Like it's I'm a nerd with it. I've been building an app so I can keep things tallied and inventoried, so I know when I bought it, how much I paid for it, keep it tagged to all the plastic and stuff. So it's been a good way to kill some time when you're not able to actually throw them right. You sit and fondle them, basically.
So out of all those discs that you've bought and you've purchased over the years, like, was the intent you bought them because you wanted to throw them? Did you throw them from any length of time? Are they retired now because they're too beat in, or that you found a different disc to replace it, or it just didn't feel good for you? Like, why do you keep the bag that you have? Do you still keep buying discs to try and replace those discs, or are you set on your bag?
It's a continual. I like to think of it as it's like a sports team to play in the bag. You've got like first strings, second strings. You've got people on the sidelines trying to try out to make their spot in a practice round bag, for example. And I'm always throwing discs in the field with the dogs. Twice a day, we'll take the dogs to the field. And my one dog, he likes disc golf probably more than I do. So it's pretty easy for me to take 5 frisbees out there that I haven't thrown in a bit and toss them in the field. And if one of them starts to actually fly a little nicer than, say, I remembered it from a couple months ago, then maybe it'll level up and make a spot in the trial bag and see if it works. and then it throws a couple bad shots and makes it on a shelf and doesn't get seen again for a couple months.
Well, I'm gonna throw my support around buying new discs, trying new discs and that, but I still think if I limit my bag, that's probably better. Now, this isn't a great example, but I'm gonna tell you, going out to Langholm, which you guys all know, it's a 9-hole course. It's by my house here. It isn't the most challenging course, but I've found that I can go out there with a messenger bag and have 3 to 6 discs, pick your number in there, and I can score on that course with those 3 to 6 discs and make them do what I need them to do. But I think that you should always be bringing new ones in. And a great example, as Daryl can tell you, is over my shoulder behind me is my very first Thought Space disc, which was a Thought Space Mantra. And I'd never bought a Thought Space disc in my history. I bought this thing. It's made my bag. It's never coming out. It's like my best disc I've ever had. And if I stuck to one mold or I stuck to one plastic, that kind of thing, I never would have got this. So,
and I think you're kind of, I'm not going to say hypocritical. What's the phrase
Sure,
I'm looking
thanks.
for? It's like, you don't buy discs. Typically, you're not a big disc buyer. You'll buy them every now and again, but not really that many. You might do a disc swap, or you might do a Gyropalooza box or something like that, but you're not typically buying discs every month, or whatever the frequency. Why you ended up, I don't even know exactly why you got that Thought Space Mantra, but as soon as you got it, you threw it and it was just one disc that clicked for you. How long did you have your astronaut in your bag? Even though, it was, Tim had mentioned, what's one disc in your bag that you should take out? You were even reluctant to take it out at that point, even though that you knew that it's like, I wouldn't even say 50-50 at that point. It was probably 30-70 that it wouldn't go in your favor and it wouldn't do what you wanted it to do. But because you had a couple good throws with it, it stuck in your bag because you thought, I know I can get a good throw out of it sometimes. If it works, it's going to work really good for you. So for you to say we should be buying more disc and rotating our bag seems, okay, I'm going to say it, seems a bit hypocritical. Whereas people like me and Dylan, I mean, I don't have nowhere near as many discs as Sam or Brock or Dylan or anyone like that, but I frequently will make those late night purchases, normally fueled by a certain type of Tennessee whiskey, but I buy them because I think that, I need that disc. I want that disc. That's going to, that's a new disc. I think that can replace this disc. That disc is gone now. Like I used to rotate my bag until I found Innova. And in my defense, the reason why I've decided to go with Innova is because genuinely every disc that I grab and I throw, they do what I want them to do. They feel good. They fill a slot. I've got disc that'll turn right, disc that'll turn left. I've got distance discs that I think I can throw my distance discs better than I can throw any other manufacturer's distance discs, if that makes any sense. So they're not paying me, but I have switched it out. I don't know why I switched it all out to Innova. I think I'm either an all or nothing type of guy.
I think you picked the right manufacturer. I apologize for the sound difficulties there. My AirPods are a little ancient that they kind of fainted on me there, so I had to
all good
switch over. But I think you did pick a good manufacturer for focusing entirely on. I mean, they have the largest disc collection and disc lineup out of any of the manufacturers. So if you can't find something from Innova, I don't think you're looking for the right thing. So
yeah. Although I will agree with you, I was a Berg putter for I had so many Bergs. Bergs was life. Berg is the only disc you need. I putted with them. I threw them for upshots. It was my utility disc. Everything was great. And then the Pixel came out, and I think I am a little bit easily persuaded because I do like Simon. I think Simon's my favorite disc golfer because he's from Europe, but also he's just a great character. He's on YouTube. He's out there. He's just Simon, right? So he came out with the Pixels, and I'm like, I'll give them a go because they seem to be working good for him. And they were the straightest flying disc putter for me. I could putt with them well. Didn't really know what it was about them that I liked until I tried other putters, and I realized, you know what? I actually kind of like a little bead. That's what I'm missing off this other putter. I like the grip. I like the feel. I like the depth of it. I didn't really think too much about shallow putters or deep putters until I found one that I liked, and I realized that all those other ones were just imitations.
Yep.
until I switched to Innova, then I said, well, I can't putt with pixels anymore. So now I need to find another putter. And I've gone through that. I've gone through that elevation or evolution of trying AVRs, trying JK AVRs, trying Yeti Pros, all these different putters. And I think I've finally settled on a good putter now, which is the Zero.
That was the one I was going to suggest.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, no, I mean, Jeremy can testify the few times that I've been out with him and he's seen me putt with the Zero. I can, make those I can make longer putts with that putter than I can with anything else at the moment. The short few months that I've been using it, but it works for me.
That's funny you say that was the putter you decided with, because that is the exact mold that my brother also uses, and it's actually a Discmania P1X mold.
Okay.
So for the longest time he struggled to find backup putters for Discmania P1X, and he ended up having to purchasing a bunch of Innova Zeros because it was the old mold.
Interesting.
And, now if you were to go and pick up a Discmania P1X, because they've started producing them now, it would feel pretty dang close to what the Zero feels like. They're technically the same mold, but
that's what I like about Dillon.
He knows these things.
Yeah, when I first got a new putter that I was trying, I was throwing it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dillon was like, or somebody said to me, "What disc is that?" And I threw it, and Dillon was like, "Oh, that's a P3X," or I can't even remember what it was now. I think it was a AVRX3. That was it. Sorry. And I'm like, "How did you know that?" And he's like, "Well, I could just tell by the flight." How could you tell that just from the flight of a disc? How do you know I just
especially
didn't throw
with
it
the way
way
you throw them, right there?
Exactly.
When you said you only went Innova and you threw an overstable putter, it was one or two options that I guessed, and it's the go-to one in Innova. So
he's going to be great for Discdle. I can already tell. Hey.
I'm loving waiting for Discdle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as we're going along here too, guys, here's the other one that comes up, a hot topic while we're on discs: speed, glide, turn, fade, and that's going to run right into Discdle. A lot of people say it's a marketing gimmick. What's your thoughts? Real reflection of what a disc does, or is it just a marketing gimmick and it means absolutely nothing? And if so, maybe certain numbers do reflect it to you and others don't. But what do you think?
I'd like to hear what the chat has to say about this as well. But go ahead, Dillon.
I think speed makes sense because it's the distance or the length of the rim in millimeters. It directly correlates to what the speed is going to be. Skip glide because we don't glide doesn't exist. And I think turn and fade are very good brother and sister. They're definitely accurate, and they definitely tell you. In most manufacturers' case, how that disc is going to turn left and how it's going to fight back to the right. But like I said, the glide, I don't think can be fully relied on and dependent on when you look at the numbers of a disc. You kind of have to compare it to how the other numbers are going to fly with it. Like you're not going to find a 13.603. That's not going to exist.
Right.
But like they can definitely tell you that if it is hit well, that it's going to go probably a bit further than, say, your disc with the 3 glide over a 6 glide. But I don't think, unless you are as consistent as the top level pro, that the glide can be relied upon in order enough to make a decision on a disc. I think you have to take into consideration the speed, turn, and fade. And that's going to really tell you how that disc is going to perform on the majority of throws.
Right.
But here's my argument for glide would be take a berg and take a glitch, and you got a 1-1, right? I believe, and now you've got a 1-7. There's got to be at least something to the glide, because you can't tell me that the berg is going to float as far as the berg just wants to find the ground as fast as humanly possible, and the glitch is going to float. So there's got to be something to it, but maybe it's just not as accurately measurable. But I think there is something to having the glide number, just how to rely on it. I don't know if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two good cases. You showed a
I'm
good
picking
example.
extremes, though.
I was just going to say, you're picking extremes here. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I would say about the flight numbers, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, flight numbers are like the way they come about is that most manufacturers will take the discs, they'll give them to some pros or some testers that they have, who will throw the disc repeatedly, and at the end of the day, or and at the end of the testing session, we'll say, oh, that's a 9503 or a 92 -1, just based on their reliability and their repetition of throwing the disc. They'll give that. There's no manufacturing thing that says this is, there's no hard and fast, rigid guideline that says that these numbers are what it is. It's just an opinion of a person. Is that correct? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, I agree with that, especially on the last two numbers. Those ones are very indicative to what the experience is of a consistent throw. The speed one, I went down into some, I think Bedanza did some deep dive into it on explaining the specific millimeters relates to the speed of a disc that they're going to give to it.
Okay.
I think it was when he was doing the breakdown on the trail, because the trail was, I think, MVP's very first 10 speed.
Correct. Yeah.
And although when you do look at the measurements of the rim versus, say, an 11 speed, I think they have like a waves an 11 speed. The rim length, or the rim length that's put on PDGA is much closer to an 11 speed of the trail versus to what a normal 10 speed would be as. So things like that you kind of have to take into consideration when you're looking at the speed. But like you said, the turn and fade, I'm not quite sure how those are scientifically generated.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot to say on a consistent throw that's tested and decided upon.
So Daryl, I got to jump in though, because I get these ideas, these hot take ideas.
I've got an idea, but go on then. Go ahead with yours. I'll have my finger over my button.
Yes, get ready. So you had said it's the pros that are throwing it. You guys have seen those videos, and some of them are a bit tongue-in-cheek, but there's someone who spent a ton of time and invested way too much of their life into it, creating those disc-throwing machines.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, yeah. So maybe we're on the same page. So take one of those disc-throwing machines and say you're going to be at a certain altitude in an indoor area, controlled environment, right? Temperature is this, and that's like, maybe it has to be at the PDGA testing facility or something. Whoa. And that's, so when they first take a disc and they say it's PDGA approved, you don't get to decide the numbers anymore. So then it's not a marketing gimmick. It's decided by the PDGA under the same set of circumstances, at the same speed, at the same everything else. This is the speed of that disc. If you don't like it, send me another one with the change in it and we'll try it again. What do you guys think? Daryl likes it already.
I don't have a button for it, but I think I need to have one. I value your opinion, and I agree with you, Jeremy, because that was exactly what
first time ever.
That's a rare, yeah.
That was exactly what because I was going to say exactly the same. Simon has had there's a disc slingshot robot on his channel. He's had it quite a few times, and there are, he's gone through it, and he set it up exactly the same, and there are, variances in how that disc comes out. But I think you're right. It doesn't even have to be at a PDGA testing facility. If it's a third-party company that is in one place, as soon as they get
hello friend,
as soon as they get, as soon as a disc manufacturer manufactures a new disc, it gets sent to this manufacturer. Maybe they send 3, 5, 10 discs, whatever they want to send, different plastics, whatever. Even if it's, different plastics have different numbers, which I think is another thing that we need to think about. Mm-hmm. But send it to a testing facility. It stays in one place. So it's wherever it's located, that's where it stays. Altitude doesn't matter. It's in one location. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's at sea level. I don't know. And it gets thrown out by this machine. What better to be perfect repetition than a machine? Mm-hmm. Grounded, it's stationary. It's going to throw it out with the same RPM, the same spin, the same angle, the same nose angle, whatever it might be. That's the closest thing that we can get to a reliable, repetitive testing machine. I'm 100% on board with that.
Yeah, I'm on board with it too. You can't get any argument from me. I mean, that takes away with the guessing of it. I think you did kind of hit a point though with that does make disc or the flight numbers a little hard to depend on is the whole elevation side of things too, right? You can take a disc and go to sea level, and that disc is going to fly completely different than it does here, or it does around home here, right? So,
and maybe that's the caveat. Maybe that one, if this machine tests the discs and we get the flight numbers for it, the caveat is that it was tested at this elevation or whatever, so that if you're going to get a disc and you're going to take it up to Colorado, then it's going to fly differently than if it does, then it will fly somewhere else in the world. But at least you have a baseline to know, okay, this is a baseline. It says -1, 2. Well, if I take this to elevation, then it's going to go and do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Well, and Dillon, I see that you're working there with your photo bomber. Your photo bomber is more than welcome. Don't even worry about that. You're welcome to be on the show too.
He's scratching the camera, which is making it move. But this is pretty common. I also have 2 other cats here, and he's right here. So there's quite a few viewers here. But as soon as I start talking in any sort of meeting, one of the cats will come
wants
up.
to be in.
Yeah. Who are you talking to? Why are you not talking to us?
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, Daryl, do you want to go to a couple of the comments, and then I think we want to hit one more on this as well. The one about what to do with discs.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Let's go to the comments first.
Yeah. So Sam, we appreciate Sam. All your comments are greatly appreciated. After watching Trash Panda make totally different flying discs with the same molds just by changing the injection rates and temperature makes it tough.
We can talk about, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. We even talk about stable or understable runs of destroyers. So what does 12.5 minus 1.3 mean? And then he kind of touched on what we said there. Flight numbers seem like they represent the flight of the first run of discs, of the first run as thrown by each company's team that makes up the flight numbers. So the one that I keep thinking of is Latitude 64. I believe Johannes is their flight number tester or whatever. I love that
guy. He's the best.
Yeah. He said that Viking discs, I know I've heard of Viking discs. I've never thrown a Viking disc, but they give each of their discs 2 sets of flight numbers, advanced and beginner. The beginner numbers are on the discs.
That's interesting.
Have you ever heard of that, Dillon? Have you thrown any Viking? Yeah.
I haven't thrown. I think one of my friends have, but I've never thrown. But I did see that they do have a secret second set of numbers that more pertains to an advanced level thrower.
Right. Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get to this question here, because Daryl and I definitely have differing opinions on him. If you just look behind him right now and you see what's on the shelf there. Okay. So you get a disc.
I think Dillon might be on my side after what he said earlier. But go ahead, Jeremy.
You go out and you get a disc signed by your favorite pro. You get yourself a Sexton Firebird, that type of thing. Discs are made to be thrown. This is the argument. Discs are made to be thrown. You can put them on the wall behind you, but when you go out for your next round, you should throw them. Agree or disagree?
You can always buy an easier one to go out and throw. I think that if you've gone out of your way to create some sort of sentimental memory that you don't want to risk losing, or like I'm in my room down here for a scary amount of hours each day. I brought him down because I like him so much, but I've got a Kristen Tatar signed one that I got.
Nice.
When we were at USDGC, I got to meet her and take a photo with her, and she signed this disc. And then we went and signed got to meet a bunch of other pros and got them to sign some discs. And then up in the corner, I've got like a Sexton Firebird that it was a cool experience. I was browsing discs at one of the vendors. I looked to my left and I'm like, oh, that's Nate Sexton. And I just bought a Sexton Firebird from another vendor like 10 minutes later. So I don't want to interrupt you, but you kind of got me into the whole disc golf collecting with the whole Night Saxon Firebirds. It'd be awesome if you were to sign this disc for me. And it was I just bought that Saxon Firebird, so
Yeah.
it's sitting up there too. And there's just kind of look at that and just have that continual memory. It's I think that's invaluable.
I'm 100% on board with you, Dillon. Like, I think it was when Sophia was, we were speaking to Sophia somewhere. I don't think it was actually on her episode. Maybe it was somewhere else. Maybe it was when she was in Australia, and I said that I was thanking her for signing the disc that Jeremy got signed for me at Nationals. And I said, I don't know what to do with it. I've got it signed now. I don't want to throw it. And she said, well, that's okay. Just buy a second one and throw that one. Yeah. Obviously, she would say that just to sell more discs. But if you've gone out of your way to get this disc signed, like Dillon said, it's all nice and pristine. It's all nice and clean. It's got their nice signature on it. It's like getting an autograph of your favorite band, and you get them to sign a copy of the program or the booklet,
ticket, right?
The ticket. Yeah. You don't then just screw that up and throw it in the garbage. You put it in a frame. You put it somewhere nice so you can look at it and remember it. If you throw that disc again and again and again, that stamp's going to get worn off.
Mm-hmm.
And then where's that memory?
Well, here you go. My argument to that is that ticket that you get signed at the concert is used for getting into that concert. After that, it has no other use for it. Perfect. Get it signed. Frame it. Put it on the wall. There is nothing else you can do it. What can the disc be used for? To throw. So go ahead and throw it. So I've got my Gabby Lee Detour that's signed with my fantastic bunnies on it. And that disc helped me out at Nationals so many times. Every time I threw it, I had a smile on my face. And even still now that it's in my bag, because I know that I had that experience with Gabby. And every time I throw it, I get to relive that experience. So that's something a little different, where when you hang something on the wall, yeah, it's great. It's there. It's pristine. This is almost like, I think we're talking about Toy Story. Are toys meant to be played with, or are they supposed to be kept in the box, right? But that would be my argument for it, is that I'm getting enjoyment out of it every time I throw it. And if I have a great throw, I'm like, yeah, Gabby and I threw that, even though she didn't throw it, but her signature is on there. So she's kind of part of that throw with me. So that's my argument.
This leads us back to what we said earlier about buying discs. Buy more discs, Jeremy. You can keep that one nice and clean and look at it every time and keep it in your bag. You're famous for saying every bag has got a bag captain. Yeah. Keep it in your bag. Keep it as a good luck charm in your bag.
Yeah.
But, sorry. I just read Sam's comment. Sorry. Carry on, Dylan.
The pain it would be if you were to lose it, I think, is too tough.
Yes.
And that's kind of my hardest thing with disc golf or with the disc himself, is like you end up liking a frisbee and it's beaten in perfectly, that you're like, if I lose this, that's a lot of effort that's gone down the drain. So now you're like having that in the back of your thought, like, okay, I can't throw it on this hole, because if that's in the woods way off to the right, I'm never seeing it. So I do get attached to discs quite often, and it's that's why you buy a new one, because then you can start working another one in.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny when you say that, as I always ask myself right now, Dylan, too, if my mantra is so special right now, because one of my first throws with it, I tried to put some Annie and just really ripped it, turned it over, threw it at the road, almost hit a car. It went under the back wheel and got ran over. It's got a tire track mark on it, and it's my favorite disc. Yeah. I don't think I could ever replicate that. I think that's the only one that is in existence that will fly that same way. So
it's beaten into a spot that is unreplicable.
Perfect. So Sam said that he got Bradley Williams to sign his Mirage when he was down in Texas. He didn't have a backup, so he just threw it all tournament. And then he also said that he cursed Bradley Williams every time I missed with it. And then he followed it up by saying, and he stole my Sharpie.
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, Darryl, what do you think? Are we almost ready to move on, or you got some more for this?
No, I
can talk about discs all night. So,
yeah.
Well, I mean, the last thing that we have there on this point is favorite plastic.
Yeah.
Does plastic come into, like you mentioned there, you've got 2 or 3 Sexton Firebirds in your bag. They all do different things, I assume. You don't just keep 3 in there because they're all 3 nice discs. Do you have them all in the same plastic? Do you have a plastic that does a certain thing? I know I have 3 Firebirds in my bag. I have a Haley King Firebird. I have a 2023 Sexton Firebird.
Yep.
And then I have a Glow Edgar Firebird, I think it is. And that thing is so super overstable, there's no way that's going to go to the right. So they all do something different.
And that's kind of the way I look at it too. Sometimes though, I like to have two that fly very close to each other.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for color glow plastic, so that leads into the Nate Sexton. My favorite runs at FD are the color glow. Any of the distance drivers, if it comes color glow plastic, I'm going to try it. But the whole carrying 3 or 4 of the same disc and the same plastic, it's exactly kind of what you said, Daryl. You want one that's going to hit the ground hardest to the right. You're going to want one that's going to pop up and fly a little bit straighter, and then maybe you want one that's actually going to flip up, and you can kind of then take that guessing game out of play when it comes to which mold do I throw. It's just, okay, do I want the Firebird that's going to fight the wind the best, or do I want the Firebird that's going to go the furthest? And then it's just a matter of I say that like I'm confident when it comes to disc golf, but it's supposed to take the guessing part of the game, but you'll never get rid of what's between the 2 ears, or you can never replace what's between those. So.
Right.
Yeah. I'd agree.
It's a Falcon's Flight Firebird.
Oh, there you go. Ooh, nice.
Oh, that's
There
cool.
you go. Yeah. This one is like, I don't know if it's the glow plastic, the proto glow, but it's so overstable.
It looks like it could be a proto glow with how bright it was there.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys. And this one's one I can't argue with, because even with the 7-8 Craves that I own, it's the same kind of thing. I got a Fission Crave that I consider my straight Crave. I've got some Glow Craves that I'm like, nope, those are my more stable ones. So if I need it to be stable or overstable, I can use that. So I think, the plastic's there. If it came to favorite plastic, because I'm an MVP Axiom type guy, it's going to be like that Fission plastic, or kind of in that lighter type one, because just as an am, it feels like it's a little bit lighter, and I can get the speed behind it, and I can make that disc do the turn. So if you're going to ask me my favorite plastic, I'm going to say it's the Fission. It could be kind of in the cosmic, in that range there, and it's going to be MVP all day long.
Well, that brings up a good point, because you say that you like your Thought Space Mantra. Now, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, Thought Space is made by MVP. So I think they make their plastic. So basically you just have MVP bias.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So going back to what we said earlier about having an open bag, you've got Thought Space, you've got MVP, you've got Axiom, but really you just have an MVP bag.
No, I've got leopards in there. I've got Rolos. I've got other discs in there as well. It's not all there, but you're right. The majority of the discs I throw, it's probably 75-25, are going to be underneath that MVP Disc Sports lineup for sure.
And we don't always play under perfect conditions though, and that's kind of where a lot of those discs that you carry come into play. Like if you're playing in a perfect weather every day, then you're never going to have to carry as many discs as we do. But that's kind of the fun part of disc golf, is you'll show up and you think that the day was, there's no wind today, and then you show up and all of a sudden a storm comes through, and after that hour and a half you're outside, it's blustery and it's cold and rainy, and going to require a different set of discs to try and get you through it.
Not that I had a good tournament, and not that I would have done this anyway, but I'm thinking back to Tundra Toss 2024.
Oh yeah.
Morning round, nice and sunny, dry conditions. Maybe we knew that there was a storm coming. Second round, I think we were all walking through a foot of snow.
Yes.
Yeah.
We couldn't get out of there fast enough at the end, and we stuck around right to the end, and it was every minute you stayed was almost like another inch of snow, it felt like.
Yeah. Sam is also saying that Mint Discs is made by MVP as well.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Sam. I've got another one to try then, and then I'll tell Daryl I've got another brand in my bag too. Awesome. Well, guys, I got a bit. Did you want to keep going? Because I got a bit of a kind of surprise call, because I got a mail call today, and I figured we could open it up really quick if you wanted. We don't have to go through that, but no, I know this is totally. So I got something in the mail. And I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
Holy smokes. Hang on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah. Let me go close to it so I can see. Is that your gyro
Don't-
box?
You don't want to put your address on the front there, right?
Well, if anyone wants to come and hang out with me, I could use more.
It's only
Don't say that.
it's only Sam and Dylan, Sam, Dylan, and Brock anyway. What did you? Oh, I think you're right. You said what it was, Dylan.
Is that the gyro box or your trash?
The
trash
gyro?
Oh no! I think I know what it is.
Yes, and if this is what I think it is, Dylan, I've been waiting for this for over a year.
Ever since I didn't actually think it was real. I just thought Jeremy made it up. He's been going on about it for so long.
Yeah.
It's something
Over
that,
a year?
yeah, something that we've talked about on the podcast.
Just recently.
It's something that Jeremy funded on Kickstarter.
Oh, cool.
It's now available
Oh, it is
from
Daryl.
Disc Republic. Can't believe Jeremy waited this long not to open it.
Oh, it's this. Awesome.
It's the new board game.
Cool.
Yes.
Jeremy was a Kickstarter.
Yeah, so this thing is called Chains.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the back to you guys. It looks like it's pretty epic text here. We hunt these lands, tearing up the sky, weaving through the forest. Identify the target, determine your angle of approach, advance through the world of obstacles and hazards. Move with purpose, attacking from a distance may allow others to surpass you, as we all seek glory. And so this is Chains. This is a disc golf board game, but we know that there's disc golf games like the ripped cards and that kind of thing, but this is like legit. It's got grids, it's got so much stuff, and if I remember right, Raptors Knoll is actually included in this box, so we can play Raptors Knoll.
Did you get that as part of the Kickstarter? Because from what I seen, it was an expansion that you can add on to it.
I want to say it might be part of the Kickstarter. We'll have to see when I open it up.
Yeah.
But I think there were some of those
How
things
many-
that you got.
How many players is it?
Let's just take a look. It is 1 to 6.
1 to 6 players. I'm thinking that this could be like a Patreon special, Jeremy.
Oh, totally. It could be if anybody
Somehow
wants to
we
get
can-
in on that.
Yeah. Somehow we can try and arrange that.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm
just-
excited about that. A year in the making. I can't wait
That's a
to
long
check it
year.
out and play it. Yeah. And I remember seeing videos. I know that some of the pros were playing, including Calvin. They had a chance to do it. Now, it doesn't translate as well when you watch a video of people playing board games. Like I just don't know how exciting that can be. But the actual act of playing the game can be a lot of fun. And if we're in that minus 40 weather, Daryl, we can say, can we put that round in UDisc, do you think? Raptors Knoll played.
Yeah. Depends what score you get.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
If it's
That's
an
true.
accurate reflection and you get plus 20, then yeah.
Yeah, then it might work. But anyways, that was cool. I just wanted to share that. I'm glad you guys could see part of it because I knew the box was here. I thought that was what was in it, but definitely I'm so pumped it finally arrived. It arrived before my gyro and the gyro shipped before, so I don't know what's going on.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
should we move it on? I think it's
Let's
time
do
to wrap this up a little bit. Sam said that he didn't do Discdle today. Have you played Discdle, Sam? Dylan, sorry.
I joined late into it last time, so I started throwing out guesses, and I was way off the mark of what the objective was. So
Right.
I kind of understand it now, but
So I just want to throw it out there for everybody. One thing that I did today, and I think it could be a game changer for the Around the Basket, is that I actually set up an account and I registered on the Discdle website. And when you register,
Ooh.
you can do multiplayer. So you can put out a code and you can play amongst friends. So I think what we'll do for next episode is make sure you're registered at the beginning of the episode. I'll throw the code in the chat. And then if anybody wants to join when we get to the end, we can do a multiplayer edition. I don't know how it works. I just seen that it was there. So
All right. Well, let's do this.
so you know how it works though, Sam. I keep calling you Sam now because I see Sam's
You might as
name
well
in
call
the,
him
in the chat.
Kevin because the name pops up. We forgot to change that.
I think I understand it.
Oh, did I not change that?
Yeah, it's.
Sorry, I haven't noticed that whole episode. Sorry.
I only noticed it on the last solo when it was. I'm like, that's Dylan, but it says Kevin.
Sorry, Dylan.
Fine.
So basically, I'll just bring up the website here. So basically what you do is you start off, you have 6 guesses. You just put in a disc and it'll tell you if you've got the manufacturer correct, the speed, the glide, the turn, and the fade. The manufacturer will either be a check mark or an X. The speed, glide, turn, and fade will either give you an up or a down arrow, letting you know, obviously, up or down on the speed. The turn gets a little bit confusing because when it's a down arrow, it means less turn. So you actually have to go from -2 to -1 to 0 that way.
Okay.
If you get a green check mark, you've got the right number or the right manufacturer. So, seeing as you're the guest, it doesn't really matter at this point. We're just going to throw in a disc. Just throw it out there. We'll know if we've got the right manufacturer speed, where we need to go from there. So, I would say start... Firebird. Okay, we got to... So, we're going to go Firebird.
Oh, you didn't pick it, I don't think.
Oh. There you go. Okay, so the manufacturer is not Innova. It's faster than a 9-speed, more glide than 3.
Faster than a 9-speed too is the other thing. Because it's not yellow, the 9s, it's going to be super speed. Because
more turn, but less fade. So we're looking at...
It's got to be like a 12 or more. So we're talking like way up there. So I'm thinking like Dimension or something like that.
Because it's telling you you've got more turn, it's going to be -1, -2. That sort of thing. I know it's meaning up, but it's more. Think of it as more than up. So more glide, more turn, less fade.
And Sam's with me. He's saying 13 or higher, and I was saying like a 12 or higher.
Okay, Jeremy. You're up next.
I like the Dimension.
The Dimension is that fast, isn't it? What did you know the numbers on a Dimension there?
Yeah, Dimension is 14, I think.
I think it's like 15 speed almost. 14.
And do you know what the other numbers are at all?
It's going to be like 14, 4, some. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is it going to have any negative to it though? Because we need a bit of a negative turn.
I think it does have a negative one.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Let's go with Dimension, because at least even if we don't get it correct, we can eliminate MVP.
MVP has a lot of high-speed discs like that. But...
That's very true.
You want to eliminate MVP, I hear you.
Well, it's just another manufacturer to check. There you go. So we've got 5 glide. Oh no, sorry, 14.5 speed, but it's not a Dimension, but it's 14.5 speed, 5 glide. More turn or less turn, Daryl, I guess you -1, but the 3 is right. Sorry, Jeremy.
I'm sorry. It's hard to see when we're talking on this one. I'm going to overtalk you a bit. Sorry. But I was going to say, I've never seen this before, but my guess is on the manufacturer. Because the manufacturer is yellow, I think we are right that we are in the MVP Sports lineup. So I think it's going to be an Axiom, Streamline. I think it would be one of those.
I'm with you. Sam is saying the same thing in the chat. He's saying it's Axiom. If the Dimension is MVP, it's an Axiom disc.
Right. And I know, what about the Mayhem? Although I don't know that the Mayhem was 14.5, but I think it might have been
Mayhem. I think there's also the one that I used to throw, and I dyed my DJ.
You used to throw a 14.5?
Yeah, I did. What's the one that I had, the DJ disc golf one? Do you remember that one that I... Oh, what was it? I forget what it's called, but do you have any... do you know Axiom very well, Dylan?
And Sam's saying Streamline's not in here, so it has to be Axiom.
Okay.
Oh, so I know a Mayhem is an Axiom. So I think we got to think more along those lines, because the MVP side is the Teslas and the ones that are more scientific one. And I think the Axiom names are the other way.
I'm just trying to think.
Teleport MVP?
I think it is MVP. That's a good question. What is
Sam's thinking the same thing as me.
Yeah.
And then besides the teleport, what is that Eagle disc that came out? That isn't Eagle's a big distance driver?
Oh, I feel like it was a Dimension.
I feel like that was a Dimension.
It was a Dimension, yeah. It was the Wind Dragon is the name of it, but it was a Dimension. Yeah, you're right, Dylan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I cannot think for the life of me what my...
I don't know if teleport's Axiom or not. That's my only guess. That's my only bad guess there.
There's only one way to find out.
I'm going to kick myself if my disc that I have upstairs is this one. We're going to go with teleport.
Oh, it is MVP. Dang it.
So that's still MVP.
Okay, so those are both MVP. So we're looking more
But it
for a
is-
name like Mayhem, Hex.
Okay, you keep
One
deciding, and I'm
Crave.
gonna be right back.
You're gonna go. Is that cheating? He's told me before I can't go on the website there and take a look, Dylan. I guess if the disc is in your house, you can go look. That must be
You can
part
go
of
and
it.
get it. You should know this.
Well, I'm
Of course it
telling
has to
you,
be Axiom.
yeah. And I do have a fair amount of axioms, but the hard part is when it gets to a speed like this, there's not many people who have these crazy distance drivers in their bag.
No, should they?
No, exactly. I know that Tristan and Gabe throw some of them because I threw a brand new one from my Gyropalooza box last year into the disc swap, and one of those guys was the one who got it. So,
Okay, sorry. Just to clarify, a blue rim, is that Axiom, and black
should be. It'll
is
tell you on the rim.
MVP.
On the rim, it'll say Axiom on one of the four sides.
Let's see it, Daryl.
It is an Axiom.
Is it
And what is it?
DJ, just go. It's the one that I was thinking of. It's a Panic.
Yes, let's go Panic at the
What are the
Discdle.
numbers on it?
You
Oh,
can't
never
cheat.
mind. I actually wrote down the numbers. It's a 13 speed.
Okay.
Oh.
But
13
see, again, as I was saying, when
minus
we're thinking of
0.53.
Yeah. Let's try what Jana suggests.
Jana, Delirium. Yep.
That triggers the mind.
Should we go
right memory.
Delirium?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
because
think that's
Delirium will be Axiom because it doesn't have a scientific name to it. It's more of a
It's not in here.
a state of mind.
Unless I'm spelling it wrong.
right. Yeah. DLI. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Let's do it. Jana's with us. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jana. Thank
I
you for
played
your
with
help
Garrett
on that one.
For the other week in Winter League too. That's awesome.
Delirium.
Look at that
14 and a
thing, though.
half, 5, negative 0.53.
And as you said, Dylan, when we said no one should have them in their bag, Jared is also one of the exceptions of people who can have
Yes.
it in their bag.
Absolutely rip the frisbee.
So there you go. Now you know how to play, and I love the idea there, Daryl, of actually getting the group play for it as well the next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and we
See,
wouldn't have solved this one if we didn't have the help, right?
No, you need. I'm not good enough with the MVP names, especially at 14 speed.
I was just going to say, exactly. We
11
know,
and 12.
yeah, there's quite a few common MVP Axiom discs that a lot of people would know, but Delirium, Dimension, Teleport. I have a Teleport only because I got it in a Gander mystery box, but I've never thrown it. I think I actually threw it in a disc swap. I think I got rid of it that way, but yeah, the average person should have, like you said, should have no business throwing a 14 and a half. I shouldn't even be throwing that 13 speed.
But it's got a cool die, so you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the case of those 14 and a halves, what we need them to just split it, and we need like 2 7s instead. Is what we need.
2 shots.
Maybe that comes back to the flight numbers as well. Maybe we should have brought this up earlier, but MVP is very 0.5 heavy. Like, how can they separate a 14 to a 14 and a half?
Gives you twice as many discs.
And I know I did watch that same video that Dylan was talking about where Bedanza looked at the rim and the millimeter, like I forget what the exact way that he went around it. It was 20 millimeter turned out to be like a 10 speed, was it? That it was like 10 millimeter. Yeah.
21 millimeters went up, 22, 23, 24, something like that.
And
cool.
like you said, that the trail actually should have been an 11 speed based on
flies like an 11 speed. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at Sam's comment there, Daryl.
Yeah.
I'm guessing one other thing is that Sam's going to take after Brian Fries, and he's just getting ready to be on a desert island if he's buying that thing, because I think that's the only thing it's good for.
I didn't even know they made 15 speeds. I thought 14 and a half was the highest it went up to, but Sam picked up a Michelin just for funsies.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why he has so many discs, because if he's buying discs that he's never doesn't. Have you thrown it, Sam? Have you even tried to throw it? Do we even know what the flight numbers on a Michelin are? I know it's a 15 speed, but
I would struggle to even hold it to throw.
I'm going to guess it's going to go left is what my guess is.
a Latitude 64 Michelin, 15.3, negative 0.5, 4.5.
Oh, nice.
So instead of 0.5, they just put a negative 0.5 in there.
Yeah. Okay, Sam says, yeah, he's thrown it. It's a bomber.
It's a bomber.
Awesome.
It lives
Yeah.
up to the name.
Yeah. Well, Daryl,
That just
what do you
about
think,
wraps
buddy?
up the episode for me, Jeremy, unless you've got anything else.
well, I just got to say, Dylan, this is awesome. You've supported us so much, and now you're on the show, and I'm glad you were able to take us up on the invite and be part of it.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate it.
it's awesome, man. We love playing with you, and we love talking to you just as much. So,
Likewise, guys, I appreciate everything you do for the community and for the city, and I'm ecstatic every time I see you guys around the course. So keep doing you and keep being awesome. So I appreciate it.
I'm sure Jeremy feels the same way, but I've had some of my best rounds when I've played with you and Uncle Steve, and every time we go out and play with you, I'm always thinking, oh, he doesn't want us AMs, us MA40
Yeah.
guys playing with him. Like, he's used to playing with these guys that can actually play and shoot good scores, and then we come along and we're like, oh, missed the Mando, oh, hit a tree, oh, I'm in off the fairway, oh.
That's the best. That's when I play my best golf. Don't worry about that. I enjoy the adventures.
Yeah, well, we do as well. We enjoy. I always like whenever we go to league and see you guys coming along. And do you have a card? No. Can we join? Yep. Perfect. It's
We're
makes
there.
my day.
Love it, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, Dylan. We appreciate it. Thanks for the support, and we will see you out on the course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Take care.
Oh, before you go,
Yep.
if we were to take that missile in from Sam, if we were to
Why
give it
would
to
we?
you,
But
maybe
if we did.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking hole 9 at Rundle, down the hill.
Yeah.
If you were to, you could probably. I mean, I know you're getting. Well, no, hang on. Let's think of a different hole, because Sam's getting there with, or I keep calling you Sam. Sorry, Dylan's getting there with a putter anyway.
Yeah.
Let's think of a longer hole. Which hole?
What if we were to go up 17, uphill 17?
I probably couldn't make it there with it. It would hit this cart path before I know it.
I think if you were to take that missile in on hole 17, throw it out close to the trees on the right hand side.
And hit them.
Just barely clip them. I think that would take some of the speed out of it, because as according to Sam, this disc is a bomber. It would angle, because it'd be a natural angle for it to dump right into the basket. It would hit those chains, Sam. Oh, crying out loud! Sorry, Dylan. Got Sam on the brain. Maybe we'll get Sam on next week,
Next
Yeah,
week,
there you go.
and I'll call him Dylan all the time. It would hit those chains, and because it was a missile in, do you know what it would do?
There's only one thing it could do, right, Dylan?
It would.
Chain out! Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.